This next news story comes to us from Rick Lane over at PC Gamer. Instead of making Baldur's Gate 4, Larian is working on 2 new projects based on its own IPs, and CEO Sven Vink reckons it'll result in the studio's best work ever.
I believe him.
Larian might have decided against making Baldur's Gate 4, but the studio is already hard. Excuse me, got a hiccup. Ooh. But the studio is already hard at work outlining its next project, or should I say projects. In its latest community update shared on Steam, Larian revealed that in lieu of another Baldur's Gate sequel, it is currently developing 2 new projects. As an independent studio since 1996, we value the freedom to follow our creativity wherever it leads. In this case, after 6 years in the Forgotten Realms and much discussion and rumination, we've decided to seize the opportunity to develop our own IPs. We're currently working on 2 new projects, and we couldn't be more excited about what the future has in store. The update continues to say that it's still early days for these projects, which is fair enough given Baldur's Gate 3 is still less than a year out from 1.0, and that Larian will share more info later down the line, but the studio does want its fans to know that the sensibilities that brought you Baldur's Gate 3 are alive and well, and that Larian remains driven to create immersive experiences shaped by your choices. To further quell any concerns about its shift away from Baldur's Gate, Larian shares some words from excited Sven Vink. I assume that's how you say his name, Vink. I don't know if we're going to pull it off, but looking at our narrative, visual, and gameplay plans, I think what we're working on now will be our best work ever, Larian CEO says. I get excited like a kid watching the key imagery, want to show it to everyone now, and grumble in frustration at having to wait until it's actually all working. Vink himself admits that this is hype.
Talk that talk.
Weird way to say that.
Larian, talk that talk.
But given Larian has just delivered one of the best games ever made, they're probably allowed a little excitement about the opportunities that success affords them. As for what these new projects might be, it's interesting that Larian uses the phrase develop our own IPs rather than develop new IPs. Personally, I reckon one of these projects will be a new Divinity game, probably Original Sin 3. The other, meanwhile, will be something entirely new, though still probably an RPG. Although Larian is moving on from Baldur's Gate 3, it isn't done with its latest game yet. The studio also revealed its plans for the upcoming Patch 7, which includes new mod tools, new fully voiced and scored cutscenes for evil endings to the game. And for a developer that keeps telling us how done it is with Baldur's Gate, Larian sure seems to be adding a lot to its beloved RPG. So, I'm stoked about this. Baldur's Gate 3 is an incredible game, and the fact that now they can just take everything they've learned and made in those games and make it their own. Holy cow!
Can I real quick just talk about how proud I am of them?
Do it.
Of deciding to see their success for Baldur's Gate and to say, you know what? We did what we wanted to do. We saw our vision through. We made the game that we wanted to make. People love it. That's enough. That's enough for us. We can leave it alone and we can go on and do the next thing. That takes a lot of maturity to see when it's time to hang it up. You know, go out on top, always leave them wanting more. And I really respect them for making that decision to say, you know what, we've done Baldur's Gate. We did it well. We did our job. Now we want to move on to something else to challenge ourselves a different way. So shout out to them. That is a great look. That is something that you rarely, if ever, see as far as gaming development and studios are concerned. So,
and man,
just
honestly,
to put that out there.
Like they'll be way better off for it because they wouldn't be where they are without Baldur's Gate 3. Like they needed that.
Right.
But now that they're where they're at, man, they can just continue to just get bigger and better and grow on their own because they're going to be able to make more money and continue to fund their awesome ideas with this new technology that they've been able to develop and continue to develop and continue to innovate. This is props to them for killing it and then being willing to just like, all right, instead of just taking the easy money, let's go out on our own and do what we know works with IPs that we know are great and just kill it and probably be way better off for it in the long run. So yeah, it's exciting. It's super exciting and super excited to see what comes out. So Divinity is one of their games. Now, I'm trying to remember, do they have any other IPs other than Divinity, or?
I feel like that's their big one. I wouldn't be surprised if they had a couple smaller scale things that they worked on in the past that they might want to pick back up again.
So
I don't know too much about them. I just know that they make Divinity.
Yeah. So here's their kind of list of games. So back in 1997, they made a game called The LED Wars. Interesting. 2002, we had Divine Divinity. 2004, Beyond Divinity. 2009, Divinity 2. And then
Boogaloo.
Yeah, as well as called Ego Draconis. And then 2010, we had Divinity 2, Flames of Vengeance. And then they went back to, this is so confusing. Their naming scheme's so confusing because they had 2 Divinity games and 2 Divinity 2s, and they're back to Divinity Dragon Commander, Divinity Original Sin, 2017 Divinity Original Sin 2. And then Baldur's Gate 3.
Those 2 I've heard of. Those 2 are the ones that everybody talks about as
2014,
being real good.
2014, 2017, whereas Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2. So they're definitely the most recent, more modern games. But so other than Divinity, it seems like their only other IP that they have is the LED Wars. And I assume that's not what they're going to be.
I guess they're doing LED Wars too. Here we go.
Oh, I take that back. They've also made educational games.
Which they also could. Look.
They have Monkey Tales, Monkey Labs, Gully Land.
With their ability to do storytelling and different outcomes and predict things now, they could make a heck of an educational game. Just throwing that out there.
Dude, imagine.
Just throwing that out there.
All the mechanics of Baldur's Gate 3 with none of the sex.
Pretty much. It's Baldur's Gate for kids. It's literally Baldur's Gate for kids.
Do it. Make oh my gosh. Yeah.
They very 100%. Well could.
Just make Baldur's Gate clean, and then I can just set it up with my kids.
You can finally play it with your boys.
They can play D&D, on the computer. And
you don't have to wait another 15 years to let them play it.
Exactly. Man, honestly, that would be killer. Let's get that. Come on, Larian.
Never know.
Yeah, I'm excited about what's next from them, because Baldur's Gate 3, I did not finish it. I put a lot of hours into it,
which is surprising to me. You were really, really into it.
It's a huge game. I put a ton of hours in it. And I think I'm only just getting into Act 2, and I think there's 3 whole acts. It's like, imagine, I basically put 20 to 30 hours in the game, and I only got through 1 act. That's insane. And the other acts are bigger from what I've heard. So
isn't that a good thing?
Yeah, no, it's great, but that's, me, long games.
That's fair.
Long games, I can lose me at times. And you know what? Baldur's Gate 3, I picked up Baldur's Gate 3, and then 2 weeks later, I picked up Armored Core 6, which was my game of the year last year before I played Dredge. So, game of the year came out a couple weeks later.
Imagine that game being that big and you can't play it the same way twice.
That is wild. Yeah.
That's nuts. That's crazy.
Crazy. I mean, you could, but yeah, you'd have to do exactly the same.
You can't miss a prompt or nothing.
Lula in the chat says weak. Yeah, I know.
168 hours, she says, and she's just now in Act 2.
Oh my
crazy.
God. Yeah. Well, I'm not that crazy. It is so fun. It is.
I mean, it's fun. It's on.
And it's fun co-op too. That's my other problem. Is I put a ton of hours in single player, and then Nate and Dan were like, "Hey, jump in the game with us." So then I put my game on pause and played for quite a while with them, and it was a ton of fun. But yeah, you can just get lost so easily because I have multiple saves now with people, without people, different characters, and it's I just need to. Really, should be my goal by the end of 2024 is let's get through Baldur's Gate 3, because I mean, yeah. I know it's incredible and people just keep singing its praises, and man, it's good stuff. Good stuff.
Lula says she's just out there exploring a lot and looting everything. You're forgetting the biggest part of Baldur's Gate from what the internet says. You're not out there touching enough butts. What are you doing?
You gotta touch all the butts.
Get to it. Slap some rears.
Oh my gosh. So good. Yep. So with that, look forward to what Larian has in store. I can't imagine we're going to hear anytime soon. Now, wait, real quick, do you know, is there any DLC or extra content that we know of coming to Baldur's Gate 3? Or
nope.
Okay,
nope.
so what
they
we've
said
got,
they're done. They're not doing anything else. Okay. Everything else is just bug fixes and polish, and that's it. They are done.
I thought I'd heard that, but I just wasn't sure. I couldn't remember exactly. So, okay. Yeah, that is what, I mean, I get it. It's a massive game. Like, if you're not happy with what there is, then get over yourself. Like,
it ain't for you.
But at the same time, the opportunity to just support it forever with DLC, they could have easily just kept pumping out like side quests, side stories forever, and just like made so much money. And that's why I respect
the heck out of them. They're like, no, we don't need to do that. We did it already. We did what we wanted to do.
That's true. They told their story, and they got
gone. And I'm gone.
Yeah, before things got bad. That's the thing. Things can, all of a sudden they put out one bad DLC and everyone remembers how bad the game was, and forget that it was everyone's game of the year.
Leave them wanting more.
Yeah. Thank you so much for watching that clip from our podcast. Remember, if you want to watch the whole episode, the full episode, link will be in the description below. You can click on that and check it out. We got listener questions. We got more news segments. We got what you playing. We got a lot of fun things. So yeah, more than just the news. There's a lot more to the show that you should go check out. So remember, click that link in the description. Check out that full episode.